Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about something that's been bothering me that I see all the time and no one really pushes back on it, so I will take that mantle and I will push back. We're going to talk about why a lot of artists, not all, but a lot of artists hate capitalism. Before we go into the details and talk about why I think this is, we need to define what that is, because if we don't define what capitalism is, someone's going to be like, well, that's not what capitalism is, and try and bring in their own personal definition into it based on opinion, not based on fact. So capitalism is simply the free market where you can buy and sell goods. Okay? It's not evil corporations, it's not working for someone else, it's not getting ripped off, it's not being treated poorly. That has nothing to do with capitalism, and it's a completely different situation. It's simply, I want to start selling these goods, or I want to buy these goods. And me and the other party will agree on a price. We will agree on something revolving around making and, giving that product away or buying it. And that's what we agree upon. Money is exchanged. We're good. That's it. That's all it is. Okay, so now that we have the definition out of the way, and if you need to pause and think about the definition, do so now. It's really not complicated, but some people think it is. So now let's go into, well, what's the big deal about buying and selling goods? What's the big deal between two parties agreeing on a set price for this item and exchanging money and giving it away or whatever? Honestly, I don't know, because every artist that I've seen complain about it has a business or makes money off their art to some degree, and they're participating in this capitalist market, and they're benefiting from it. A lot of the complaints I see is, oh, well, this corporation did this. It's capitalism. And they say it in a negative way. Well, first of all, no one's forcing you to support half these corporations that exist in the country or in the world. Second, that is not capitalism. Disagreeing with the price of a product, you don't have to buy it. There is choice in the market. Alright, so let's get into why capitalism is bad. The short answer I have to that is I don't know. I don't know why a lot of artists consider it bad. Most of their gripes tend to be with corporations, which has nothing to do with capitalism, and everything to do with how a company is run, either fairly, properly, or not at all. Some companies just don't run well, and that has to do with management and people. It has nothing to do with capitalism. Capitalism does not require you to treat someone poorly. And if someone thinks that, that is a reflection on them, not capitalism, because that's a horrible mindset to have. A lot of it is these corporations make a ton of money, therefore they should share that profit with everyone in some fashion. Well, we have the stock market for that. They share their profits via dividends. And you can say, well, I don't have thousands of dollars to get a stock, but you don't need thousands of dollars. You got $5? You can go buy a fractional share. Sometimes it's, well, the community that they're in needs that money for social services that are provided by the government or whatever. Okay, well, they contribute via their own donations to charities, through the taxes that they pay. There's a lot that they do. I'm not saying that they're great and we should keep all these corporations or anything, but it's an inability to see what a lot of them do. Now you can say I don't agree with the owner's politics, whatever. That's fine. That's not capitalism. That has nothing to do with it. Half the stuff I'm talking about has nothing to do with capitalism. I don't even know why it's associated with capitalism. It's just because it's a corporation. That's really all it is. Corporation equals capitalism equals bad. It's a really weird line of thinking, and I just don't understand it. To be honest, it's a weird. Here's 3 different elements. We're just going to connect the dots and force it. It's like forcing a triangle in the rectangle slot in one of those like kid block games. That's basically what that is. So, if those elements are not part of capitalism and just personal gripes with the corporations, what is causing this issue? So, in my personal opinion, I think a lot of this is just envy. Envy that a corporation exists to such a level they can make a lot of money, while someone who is not at that level is not making that much money and is really upset that they aren't, and they can't just go out and hire 10 people to help them. That's not, I mean, you may see that it may be unfair to you, but there's always going to be someone that can afford something more than you. That doesn't mean the system's broken. It just means you have a chance yourself to get to that point, and people don't see it like that. They don't, I mean, not everyone's going to become the next Disney or the next Pixar or the next Amazon or Apple or something. Not everyone's going to be able to do that, but you do have a chance at becoming that if you are willing to do the work, and you are willing to get the help, and you're willing to really dedicate yourself to that. Most people will be satisfied at the level that they are. You have that choice. And that's what people kind of keep forgetting. You have the opportunity to decide how far you want to take your business and your artwork, and how much money you want to do off that. My personal goal, which I've shared here, is to grow it into a large business. Maybe not Disney level, obviously. I don't know if I'd ever want that, because that's a mess. But I do want it to get big enough where I can hire people and we can do way more than what I'm doing now by myself. Those are my goals, and I will get there. Because I'm setting a higher standard for myself, which most of these artists don't do. They are stuck in a limited standard for themselves, and because they're all doing it, let me rephrase that. Some artists who hate capitalism are setting a lower standard for themselves, and they they kind of become a collective together, like a group, and they all feed off this, well, I'll never make it that far, so they lower their expectations of themselves, they lower their ability to get anywhere, and they stay stuck. And the only people that they can blame as a result is somebody else for that, because they think they're working really hard and doing everything that they can to get past that limitation, but in reality, they're not, because we all know subconsciously, the more successful you are, the more your friends really aren't your friends. And when you lose that connection with others because you're more successful, you feel guilty. You feel like you did something wrong to be in a situation that's better than someone else. You start to see that envy from those other people. And you see it all the time. And I'm going to bring up this example, which is a loaded example here. But there's a man named Eric July who has had a business for a very long time. He's a musician, he's a ghostwriter, he does a YouTube channel, he talks pop culture and stuff like that, and he got tired of the way comics were going, in the direction that they're going, so he started his own comic company. His launch wound up raising $3 million. He never expected that. I mean, he only expected to sell 40 copies and call it a day. But the fact that people believed in his work ethic and his vision, that's what got him that $3 million. On top of the fact that they wanted something new to read. And I backed it and I got it, and I think he has a chance. He didn't set lower standards on himself. He had very high standards, and this is what he's going to do, and he's going to do it, and no one's going to tell him no. I am re-recording this part because I didn't fully explain it well. Basically, because he was successful without relying on any pity, without relying on any, you need to support me because of X, Y, and Z, he didn't do any of that. He didn't tell people why he should be supported. He just pitched his idea and earned a lot of money from it through various avenues. And because he didn't go through the traditional line of, well, I'm going to go to a publisher to release this, I'm going to go release it on Webtoons, I'm going to release it on an already established anything. He didn't do any of that. He relied solely on his own marketing, his own skills, his friend group, his supporters, which he has had for years. Like I said, he's had he's had his hand in a lot of things over the past couple of years, so when you take all of those connections into account, he's built up quite a big audience to get to this. And he did it without begging for money. He didn't he knew his worth, and it showed. People respond really well when you are confident in your worth. So because of all that, that's why there's a group of people who are upset with him, and they're calling him horrible things. Now, it's one thing to have an opinion on not like him and not like his story. That's totally fine. That's just the way life is. That's not the issue. It's more, every time he hit a goal, there's a reason why he should be feel guilty for hitting that goal, or why it isn't good enough. I mean, if you raise $3 million on your project, there's really, and you not only raise that amount of money, but you deliver the product like you say you are, and you strive for that customer satisfaction in terms of making sure it gets to them on time, gets to them in one piece, all that stuff. I don't think anybody who says you should feel guilty for your success really means anything, and he knows that, and that really bothers certain people. So yeah, that's really what happened. A lot of his supporters are happy he succeeded, and then there are people who hate his success so much that it went from, you'll never sell 5 books, you'll never sell 40 books, all these numbers are fake. And then he showed that they weren't fake, and then it became, well, just because you were raising this much money doesn't mean you'll ever be good like DC or Marvel, or you'll never be this, or you'll never be that. And they keep setting a new bar for what he'll never be, and it's like, why does that matter? Like, he's not going out there to say he's going to be just as good as existing companies. He's going out there to be better and build something new, and that will take years, and he's acknowledged that. But it's like, why? What? But that's pretty much, it's a very common reaction to success. No matter who you are, no matter what you've done, it's always something. Successful people, like, I don't think I've ever shared my backstory, but it wouldn't matter, because the challenges and the troubles I have gone through to get to where I am today mean nothing. It's the fact that if I ever become successful like that, it's the success that people are going to pay attention to. My struggles will never matter. That's like the harsh reality. And that's what I wanted to re-record and kind of edit this part again to make more sense, because I realized I left out some of those details. So, yeah. And this isn't me just making stuff up. There's another YouTuber, Kelly Stamps, who just a vlogger, mind her own business, just having fun with her YouTube videos. She said the same thing. And one of her friends even said, "You intimidate me because of how successful you are." So when we see that happening, the only thing a lot of artists, I think, can do is, instead of trying to be successful like that, is stay at a lower level, stay and limit themselves, set lower standards and expectations on themselves so they don't have to deal with that. Because it's very painful to have friends all of a sudden not want to be your friend because you've been successful. I think that's horrible, but it happens. And there was something in college that a teacher said to me, that a lot of people are afraid of success. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's why. Because even though you never change as a person, people take this concept of success and they project it onto you, and they think you're one of the evil people now because of your success. Anyway, back to the capitalism point. Envy. It was all about envy. I can't really think of any other reason why artists would hate capitalism other than envy. There's no reason why most of these artists I see with such good skill cannot be successful. I've seen so many artist businesses die, not because their art isn't good, because it's fantastic, but they don't try to find a successful business model. There's something missing business-wise that they're not getting. So let's go on to the next point. Artists think that they're artists when they try and make money out there, but they're not. Yes, they have an art skill, but when you are going to the business of making money, you need to start thinking like a business. Because an artist makes the content and everything else that you're doing, but if you don't know how to market it, if you don't know how to do the financials, if you don't know next steps to expand that, if you don't know how to manage your money, and you sit there thinking, I'm just going to raise up a bunch of business debt because this big corporation did, you don't belong in the business. You just, I don't know what you belong in, but if you're not going to take the time to learn it, the failure and the struggle that you're having is on you. There's only so much blame you can pass on to everybody else before you have to realize maybe some of that blame should be on yourself. And I have seen, it's just bizarre to me to watch a bunch of artists sit there and say, well, I just want to make some art and sell it. Is there passion in what you're selling? Is there a business mindset here? Or do you think that every other artist that you see is just sitting there drawing really nice looking pictures and throwing it up on Etsy and selling it? Because that's not what's happening. Behind the scenes, that artist is not only making the art, but they're marketing it. They're finding competitive pricing to get prints or keychains or whatever it is that they're making. They're making their own original stories. Are you understanding how the time management works to not only make the story in the comic or whatever else it is, and putting in the contracts and to print it, to package it, to ship it? Do you know how to do all that? Let's say a product is released and it's absolute trash. It's not going to live. If we think back to how ink refills used to be, it was not working. People had their printers destroyed, the cartridges were exploding. It was a failed business model. And a lot of those businesses died off. It's sad and it's unfortunate. We can sit here blaming the printer companies for this all day long, but at the end of the day, it was a business model that didn't work. It wasn't good. It provided inconsistent results, and it made the customer unhappy to the point where it was more beneficial for them to just buy a new cartridge or an off-brand one than refill it. That's unfortunately how the market works sometimes. And that's how you can say that's how money moves the market. Now, let's go back to corporations for a minute. People think that because corporations, quote unquote, don't pay taxes, that they're bad. First of all, they do pay taxes, but because of the way the government handles their relationship with the corporations, they get tax breaks. That has something to do with capitalism. The second the government steps in and intervenes, that is not capitalism. Government giving a lot of these corporations kickbacks for existing in certain places, and for the record, this is not a partisan issue. Everyone has done this on all sides of the aisle in every state and city. So you can't blame one or the other. One will give tax breaks, one will do this, blah, 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 blah. That's not capitalism. So let's say a large corporation wants to come to my city and bring 5,000 jobs. But they're not going to do it unless they get some kind of tax benefit or some other benefit. The government can say, yes, I want 5,000 jobs to exist in my area, which, to be fair, I understand why, because you want the economical growth. You want people to have money in their pockets. So they'll give that corporation kickbacks. That's not capitalism. That's the government kind of artificially growing the economy. And this happens in every industry. It's not tied down to just retail. We have subsidiaries. That's your government kickback. It's an artificial growth of the economy or whatever it is. Because once those subsidiaries and those tax benefits and those kickbacks go away, now that all those 5,000 jobs that they try to get in will probably disappear, or they'll be cut down to a lower number to cut back on expenses, because now the company has a higher expense category because those kickbacks don't exist anymore. That's not capitalism. Again, that's government involvement. And when the government gets involved, we all know how that goes. It's usually not a good thing in the end. It's kind of like kicking the can down the road for a disaster. Now, they should get involved if your individual rights are being violated, such as you're not being paid for the hours you work, you have mistreatment, stuff like that. That's when they should step in and be like, hey, idiots, you can't treat people like this. But again, that has something to do with capitalism and has everything to do with how the management is. And usually it's isolated to certain areas. It's not every location. That's kind of how it works. Different locations have different management, different attitudes and personalities and cultures and stuff like that. That's just how, that's going to go with any place, business or not. So yeah, that's, again, but that artists confuse all the bad things with being a feature of capitalism, and it's not. All right, so let's just recap some points here, because I still don't understand how people think capitalism is the evilest thing. Capitalism is not, you have to work for someone and be treated poorly and work for a corporation and work overtime without getting paid. That's not capitalism. It's just the free market of buying and trading goods where both parties agree to a set price or whatever agreement they have for the cost of those goods. It is not someone made more money than me, therefore it's unfair, because we all have the chance to be at least a millionaire in our lives if we can put that work ethic in. And if we have, situations where it may make things difficult, you can still live a good life and not have to have a negative bank account all the time. It's just a matter of finding the right avenue for yourself. Capitalism is not tax breaks. Capitalism is not government intervention to make businesses more profitable. Government is not taxing one person more while taxing one person less. That's government, again. So really, the issue I think a lot of artists confuse with capitalism and why it's bad is it's not the capitalism that's bad, it's the government involvement disguising itself as capitalism. And until people start figuring that out, I don't think people are going to basically dig themselves a hole, and it's going to be too late for them to get out once they realize it. So I'm going to leave this video off on a good note, though, in that you have more opportunities now than ever to partake in the economy, in capitalism, and earn something for yourself, do something for yourself. You can learn whatever you want. The internet has honestly provided so many avenues of income that I can't even begin to explain them all. It may not be easy. Nobody gets overnight successes. Those are extremely rare. And in that case, it's just, don't worry about it. You don't have to sit there and compare yourself to those overnight successes. Most businesses take a little while to get rolling. Mine's at that cusp of it's time to pivot and change it and make it more profitable, because right now it's able to break even in terms of comparing to last year, which means I'm at a good spot to pause, put elements in place and make that grow. And that takes time. I have a day job. I have other things to do. It takes me a little longer to get there. That's okay. There are people out there who don't have that kind of blocker. They can dedicate, 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week to their business and grow it. I don't have that. That's okay. I don't have to be worried about that. I can grow it on my own time. And one day I'll be able to get to that level. So it's okay that someone else is more successful or had a better head start than you. It doesn't mean you can't get there. Sometimes slow growth is the best thing that can happen, because if you grow too fast, you can seriously fuck it all up. And I have seen that. Do not be envious of people who become overnight successes, because I can tell you they're going to burn themselves out and crumble pretty fast. And then they're going to be right back where they started, and they have to rebuild it all anyway. Alright, so knowing that you have the chance to do something and bring yourself in some more income, participate in this market, be not creative, but you can create whatever you want and sell it, without infringing on someone else's rights or breaking the law. And you have a chance. That's why I always support smaller people, because I know that they have a chance and they can do it. There is no reason why they can't. It's not always fun in the beginning, it's not always easy, but I know they can do it. I know they can be successful. I know they can get more income on their own, and they have every opportunity at their fingertips to do it. It just takes some time and a little bit of work. And that's just how capitalism is sometimes, and that's okay. Alright, I hope this video was interesting and kind of made you think about capitalism and how we view the market and just perception of everything going on. I hope that maybe it gave you some food for thought. I am open to seeing some discussions below. I can already tell you right now, a lot of the arguments that I see has nothing to do with capitalism, has everything to do with intervention of the government, setting things up for failure, because they fix a problem only to create another problem by fixing the problem. Yeah, I'm open to the other viewpoints, though. I have no problem discussing these things. I'm no stranger to it, as long as you're respectful about it. And to reflect what I was talking, or what I was drawing here. These are capitalism stickers that I'm going to be making, because I never see pro-capitalism stickers, and I think that's weird. Actually, that's not true. I do have a friend over in Spain who has pro-capitalism stickers, which I'll link to below if she's still selling them. But I think we need more of them, because I think it's a good conversation starter, and I will talk about the responsible capitalism aspect of these stickers in another video, and how you have the power to change the market, and how you don't have to sit here worrying about these evil large corporations, quote unquote, making all this money, like you have no say in it, and how we can actually benefit our economy by changing how we approach this stuff. So really, it's just capitalism, but by saying responsible capitalism, it kind of gets you going and thinking about, well, what does that mean? What can I do about that? So I'll put that in another video, probably much shorter than this one. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Like I said, if you have any comments, leave them down below. Just be respectful about it. I'll be more than happy to discuss it with you. And I will see you in the next video.